G'day everyone, welcome to today's Page in 10 episode, and I'm going to do a daisy for you today because we'll be looking at a lot of daisy through Daisy Ween, and I wanted to show you how even if you can only draw a stick figure, there are a few little extra bits we can add just to level up your work a little bit. And level up, I feel like, is the wrong way to say it because honestly, some people really prefer a simple look and enjoy it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think like there's a few little extra bits and pieces that if you were looking to build on your knowledge and to add some more detail to your work, because I wouldn't even say it's not any harder than drawing a stick figure what we're going to do, but if you are looking to add some more detail and flesh out your drawings a little bit more than a stick figure, I want to show you that step today. Because sometimes I feel like it's the step that's missing, right? We show everyone where we started and then we show where we got to, but a lot of the in-between can be kind of cut out. And it is a long and arduous process. Like, let me be the first to say that. It doesn't all happen overnight, but you do add just little tiny bits and pieces as you go along, and the collection of adding all those tiny things that you learn really do amass to a big change years down the track. So if I've caught you at that point, or you just want to go along for the ride today, this is the video. I'm going to put 10 minutes on the clock and we're going to draw now. Starting with our Daisy, well, we're going to start with a simple stick figure. Daisy is the character that I'm going to use for Daisy Ween. I'm going to put a big circle head here. I'm going to try and do this the most simple way possible, and I'm using a really thin mechanical pencil because we're going to add on top of it. So I want to be able to erase a little bit if I want to, and I also don't want any heavy bold lines that are going to be difficult to do that. Most people from here would probably put a face on. Maybe we'll put some eyes, two little dots, a little L-shaped nose. I did my L backwards, that's okay, and a smile underneath that. I think that's pretty standard for a face. Then perhaps because we are drawing a female character, maybe, or like a little girl character, maybe someone would scribble some hair on the top. And I would probably scribble some hair on the side because I like my female characters to have long hair most of the time. And then we'll add a dress. We'll put a little stick for a neck. I think most of us learn to add a triangle dress and two arms that are out to the side and two legs with those little sticks on the bottom out to the side as well. So I would say this is a pretty standard stick figure, right? Now we want to add a daisy to this because I want at least, if you're trying Daisy Ween and you've never drawn anything before, I want you to have at least something to work with. So that's why I'm doing this episode, really. But it is interesting to kind of show you the small little things to add. In any case, Daisy is a mixture of a few different details. She has glasses, big glasses. She has lots of times she has bows, freckles, and she has scalloped details, or like scalloping. So we have to look at where to add those things. The first obvious thing to me is the glasses. So I'm going to add big, round glasses, and see how I'm taking up a lot of space. These go from the side of her head all the way around her eyes. We're going to start to play with proportion. This is something that's going to add a lot of interest to your work. When the proportions look unrealistic, it kind of looks more fantastical. I'm going to add a little rainbow-shaped bridge over the top of the nose. Doesn't have to touch the nose. In fact, we do kind of want a little bit of space there so we can keep some room to play with. Now I'm going to add eye detail to this. So what I'm going to do is where we've got those little pupils, I'm going to keep the pupils as they are. I'm just going to add a really soft, round leaf shape. So if I put the little pointy ends on, it would look like a leaf, but I'm softly rounding it. So an oval, I guess I should say. Notice how I've just lightly sketched that in because I'm going to go back over the top line only with a darker line. I do this with feminine characters, and even though it kind of implies that they're wearing eye makeup, sometimes just boldening that top eye line will just kind of give it a more feminine look, because it does kind of look like makeup a little bit. And I'm going to put three little lashes, just little sticks on the edge. I'm going to feminize this character, and that also helps to give her quite a feminine look. So that, to me, is just a tiny little bit of extra detail that's just leveled it a step up from stick figure drawing, if you're wanting to add more detail. Leveling up implies that it's a lot of extra skill, but you just saw it's the same shapes we've been drawing, we've just added a few more. So it's really just about adding detail. I'm slightly going to add a bit of boldness to these glasses, just so they can really pop out. So I'm just running over the lines a couple more times. Playing with how bold some lines are and how light some lines are will also add some interest, so that's a good little tip. And then I'm going to add the nose a little bit bolder and freckles. Now for the freckles, I'm going to do a whole bunch of dots, but I'm also going to vary up my pressure of my pencil. You can get a bit of a variation even with a pencil. I'm going to get lighter and more sparse as I get away from the nose. So what you're seeing is a concentration of freckles all around the nose area that kind of disappear out into the face. This gives kind of an optical illusion of it fading out and this kind of gradient freckle effect, which in itself implies that there was a much more advanced technique used to draw the image. So it does look like you've kind of elevated it a little bit from a very simple drawing. I'm going to keep the mouth where it is. I don't really want to change too much about the features. I'm just going to add a tiny little rainbow upside down shape underneath it. This looks like the chin. The difference between the bottom lip and the chin, you know that little dip underneath your bottom lip? That's where you put this. It looks like a little shadow area. And that to me is the simplest way to add a bit of extra detail to the mouth. You can also add a little M on top if you want to add the Cupid's bow. Just a tiny little M. And I think that works as well. A lot of the time I wouldn't add that. I just think it gets really cartoony, even though it is a very 2D drawing. I like just the bottom lip for that version. I'm going to add the scalloping now because we have some hair and I usually like to add the scalloping to her hair. So where we've scribbled, I'm going to use that as my guide to run these scalloped loops around the bottom. So there we've already got a fringe or a bangs. And I'm going to do the same on the outside of the hair too. Wherever the end of that hair is, all those little struggle strands at the end, I'm going to add some loops. And then I might fill that in. I do like that kind of scribbled pencil texture look, so I'm going to keep that, but I will connect it so it doesn't look like she's just wearing a toupee or she's got like a Friar Tuck bob thing going on. So I'm going to connect those scribbles down the side of the head and color those in. Can you see how we've really just added a bunch of details that make it look just a little bit more alive than a 2D stick figure drawing? Technically it's still 2D, I don't know why I'm saying that. I'm going to add the bottom of the chin on. I don't want to do this too dark, but I will just clean it up a little bit. And then bows, she has bows everywhere. So I'm going to add a bow, a loop just underneath the chin on either side, the mirror image of each other. I might put a circle in the middle just to break those up, and 2 sticks inside that bow. I'm also going to put them up here in the hair as well. I like to add the details everywhere, especially for a Daisy character. She's over the top. I mean, she's open for interpretation, so some people do a really simplified Daisy. My Daisies are just endlessly detailed for no reason. Mostly because I have fun doing it. There you go, we've added a few little extra details that put some more interest into that character. And then we have more of the scalloping I think we could add to the dress. So at the bottom of the dress, why not do some more scalloped details? If you really want to add a bit of extra, do another line of those underneath. Adding layering to your work also makes it look a little bit more detailed. So I'm going to scribble just underneath that, and she'll look like she's got a double-tiered dress on. For the arms, I'm going to run a train track, which means a parallel line just next to the arm I've already done. So these arms are already out to the side. I'm not going to change their position. I don't think I'll erase anything for this drawing. And at the end, I'm going to add a little oval shape. I like to break the wrist just for characters, especially young girls, like put their wrist up like they're doing princess hands. So I'm going to put a little oval shape pointing to the top diagonals. And that suits me just fine. I'm going to do the same train tracks for the legs. So there's those 2 parallel lines next to each other, just like long rectangles. And for the feet, I can do those ovals again. Sometimes for the feet, I will just color in the end of the foot, so it looks like she's wearing a little slipper or a little ballet flat, and put a little love heart on there so it looks like shoelaces. One more piece of detail, because we have a minute left, so I guess we can just keep adding. I really like, and you'll see this a lot, I really like to add a shirt detail, like a button detail, to whatever is on the top of my characters. So I'll add a line that goes straight through the middle. In a perfect world, that loop would connect in there somewhere. It's okay. And then buttons on the right hand side. I always do the right. I don't even know if that's the right place to put them, but I just do little black buttons all the way down that stripe. My stripe got a little bit out of hand, so maybe I'll just clean that up a little bit. And that's really it. I would stress you out and grab the blending stump if you felt like taking it a little bit further, but don't bother doing this if you don't want to. I will just say the quickest way to add a bit of extra is just slightly smudge and put some shading just around the edge of the circle of the face. Keep it really light when you get down to the chin, because you don't want it to look like a beard. But just slightly around the edge of the face, and then a little bit above the eyes. And I find that adds a lot of extra interest. And if you feel like she's floating up in the air, you can add some just at the bottom of her feet, so it looks like she's standing on the ground. And she is a daisy after all, so let's put a little flower at the bottom of the ground. And we'll put Daisy, and we'll sign our name because we're proud of it. And then we'll put the date. I'm actually doing this on September 27th, so 27/9/22. There is our timer. Thank you so much, timer. And that's it. There is a little daisy that was a stick figure, and we added just a few little extra details. I know we added quite a lot. I wouldn't necessarily teach someone to add that many at one time, but we had 10 minutes to go through the video, so it's all just something to think about. You can just work on adding a few extra details to the face only. My top tip is that if you ever feel like you don't want to struggle doing the whole body or adding bits of information to drawings that just take you a long time to figure out or process, or you find them difficult and challenging and you just don't feel like that during the day, zoom in on something that you do like. Look, there's my little notes. Zoom in on just the face and cut it off at the shoulders. So if you've got a daisy prompt that is like, I don't know, like a witch thing, and you don't want to have to draw the broom and the body and her sitting on the broomstick because that's a position you haven't tried before, just cut it off right here. That's all you need to draw, just the shoulders and the head, and just focus on maybe detailing like her witch's hat, or putting more details into the freckles. So if she's a witch, maybe she has little stars and moons for freckles. Things like that. You can really zoom into a picture. You don't always have to draw the whole thing every time, and that's a great tip that I always have to remind myself of, because I sometimes just out of habit get stuck thinking I have to draw the whole scene, when in fact I can zoom right in on something and just work there. So those are my tips. Hopefully you're having a good time with Daisy Ween if you've started already. Like I said, I did say this, I don't know when I'm putting this episode out, but now I'm thinking it has to be at the start of October, so maybe I'll just upload all these videos at once. But yeah, have a great time. Can't wait to see what you come up with. Use all the hashtags so I can find your work, and until next time, have fun.